go again. Incredible. Anything is possible. And the crowd absolutely love it. We're heading into the wall. He's got it. He's got it. This is why we love Formula One.
A superb victory for Oscar Piastri here in Shanghai, and a very valuable 1-2 for McLaren, despite some late jeopardy for Lando Norris. It was a strategic race where making a call for the one stop was crucial and could cost you big if you didn't. Let's get all the reaction here in the paddock at the Shanghai International Circuit. Welcome to the Chinese Grand Prix post-race show. Alongside me, Alex Brundle and Jolyon Palmer. And what a win, Alex, for Oscar Piastri. Consummate professional victory.
Yeah, lights to flag really, with everything going on behind him. But a lot of stops in that one. A race dominated by a central learning, really, that the hard tyre was just performing far better than anybody expected it to, and that's what gave us interest and intrigue behind. But McLaren in the hands of Piastri, and when it was firing all cylinders, Norris with the dominant car.
It was a cool call as well for Oscar from engineer Tom Stallard saying, I can't remember which plan it was, I think plan A. Is it plan A? Oscar saying, I can make it to the end. And so they did.
I like it. Clear and concise. I think the work for Oscar was done in qualifying, really. It was, we saw Lewis in the sprint command the race from the front, and I think Oscar basically just did the same. It was carbon copy, but in a Grand Prix form. Had the gap where he wanted it, could extend it before the pit stops, and had the tyre life, had it all under control.
And what an ideal start to this season. McLaren have had 2 wins now to their name. Let's take a look back at all that happened here in the Chinese Grand Prix.
Welcome to the main event. Oscar Piastri is on Grand Prix pole for the first time. The Chinese Grand Prix is underway with a good reaction time for George Russell, who's claimed that inside line. But Piastri was brave, and he chops across George Russell, who's lost the place to Lando Norris.
This is Charles Leclerc, a little bit of contact into Hamilton.
I've been hit by someone.
Russell gets ahead, crucial moment. And Lando Norris diving to the inside, takes back the place.
We are swapping cars, swapping out.
I'll tell you when we're going to stop.
Oh, this is a baptism of the hard stuff for Hamilton's new engineer.
Behrman up to 10th position, a really attacking drive from the man who started in 17th.
Wait, front weak damage from what?
What an opportunity missed. Tsunoda will be way down the order. He's the last of the runners. You are looking at the current world champ, and he roars around the outside. Does he get the place? He does! 4th position for Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri wins the Chinese Grand Prix.
Yeah, mega job, guys. Mega job.
Beautiful 1-2.
These are the moments that race teams dream of. 1-2s.
Tears in the crowd from fans for a man who's trying to claim this as another one of his home races, and I'm sure he will. He's got some ancestry somewhere down the line, but Oscar Piastri will take the win today. What a day once again for McLaren with a 1-2. Great teamwork, Alex, throughout for them, but Lando Norris wanting to attack at the end, but couldn't. Can you explain the brake pedal issue? Firstly, what it means by a long brake pedal and how that happens within a Formula One car, and then what on earth that's like to drive for both of you.
Yeah, it's a really uncomfortable thing, actually. I mean, normally the deflection of a brake pedal in a Formula One car, millimeters. They're really, really stiff pedals, so you'll be putting massive force through the pedal, but it won't actually be moving much at all. So what Lando's suffering with there is more deflection than he's used to as he puts the big force through the pedal that he needs to stop the car. The problem with that is eventually you run out of pedal travel in the cockpit. So, eventually you actually run out of the ability to stop the car. So, yeah, really, really uncomfortable for the driver. And, of course, the braking, the first thing you do for every corner, destabilising when you're trying to put the laps in. But he was still going for it, up until maybe two or three laps from the end.
I was impressed with how quick he was actually with that going. So the throttle generally has a really long travel, so you can really squeeze it on and you get a great feel for it. And it helps with controlling degradation and not having a load of wheel spin. But the brakes just literally move like millimeters, as you say. So for half a millimeter every lap, it's just going spongier and spongier. And you want to just be able to absolutely smash that to try and slow the car down. You need a lot of force to stop these cars. And it's just the whole change of feeling as well for Lando. Obviously that we were told that the deceleration was the same for the most part of it, but having to just put the pedal down further changes the way you're feeling the car decelerate as well. So he did a good job to drive around it.
In the back of your mind as well, you're always wondering, aren't you, when is the moment I'm going to go charging down into one of these big braking zones? And it's actually not going to stop. I mean, he was reassured by the team that that wouldn't happen. And I think, honestly, if there was a chance of that, McLaren would have brought him in. But yeah, it's still disconcerting when you're doing the speeds these guys are doing.
You know, 1 lap to go, he's told, right, this is critical now. And he had to obviously pretty much coast it round. I can't imagine the lack of confidence you would suddenly feel in the car and the car feeling that you have around you, especially when you've got George Russell bearing down upon you in those final few laps, and a driver in which he enjoyed a really good battle with earlier on. Firstly, the overtake off the start, but then, of course, George Russell overtaking him out the pits and then taking him back after that.
Yeah, nice fight between the two of them. Yeah, I think Lando achieved the most that he could realistically, and actually Fernando Alonso had a brake failure where it did go to the floor early on and was probably a bit lucky to get that back to the pits. It was a really nice fight. I love this move that Russell put on Norris. At the start, Russell was a bit boxed in, but this one, he managed to get right around the outside. And when you're in that position where you've got way more grip than the car ahead, which is actually Lance Stroll here, you've got to stop it and not run into the back of the tail ender. And he just measures it perfectly, round Norris, round Stroll, gave him a chance, but then Lando managed to get that pass critically through in the next couple of laps. So a nice little bit of a ding-dong between the two Brits, and both happy with second and third in the end.
Great bit of racing. It's one of the costs, actually, of having the only cost of having your two cars up front is when people pit behind with a strong undercut, as we had today, you need to prioritise one of them, and of course you inevitably leave the other one slightly exposed, and that's what happened. Luckily, Lando with the pace to get past George again pretty quickly.
There have been some winners and losers today from up and down the grid. The big winners must be Haas, who've turned around a tricky start to the season and brought it round for double points. Ollie Behrman, ciao. And Esteban Ocon, hello, come on in, Ollie.
Hello.
Guys, great stuff, congratulations. Thrilled for Haas, double points. Ollie, firstly, ciao. Come on, explain it. We were loving the sass on the radio.
Yeah, I feel really bad now.
Now the adrenaline dies down.
I overtook someone and I said ciao.
Oh, no!
I think, did twice? Did we have two chows?
Yeah, we did. We
had two
we had two switchbacks in the 1014.
That's nice. I want to see that.
Yeah, was with one of the Red Bulls and Alpine, so I was happy with with those overtakes.
Esteban, how thrilled are you? You had a pretty good overtake on Antonelli as well.
Yeah, a bit of rallying at the time, but honestly, yeah, great turnaround, from the team. They've done an amazing job in a couple of days, to try and get some more performance out of the car. As Ayao said, we didn't sleep much and eat much, but yeah, that was quite tight.
Oh, that's why there was dust on the track.
Yes, mate. But no, super great, and great that Ollie's managed to come back as well into the points. It's double point finish for the team, and that's very valuable for us.
Ollie was all of us watching that then, wide-eyed in disbelief. Guys, go ahead.
You actually had mega pace on the hard tyre stint. I was watching you from sort of lap 40 through 46, maybe only a 2 or 3 tenths behind the leading pace. Where's that jump in performance come from, do you think?
I think we always knew, there was going to be some more potential out of that car, but of course it's a surprise to see how much this weekend. But we really changed, 90% of the car from Friday to how it was in Saturday, and really in qualifying the car came alive, and suddenly I felt just more confident. I felt that I could attack much more, and the car doesn't feel 100% yet, which is a very good thing. So it means that we can, continue improving.
Yeah, guys, really pleased to see you both attacking so hard. Move on the grass, love it.
Show some of Ollie one, come on, I want to see now.
So the one I want to see is the massive lunge that you put on Lance Stroll in the first half.
Here we go.
I know, these are the chows. He was boxing anyway.
This would have been the chow, I think.
The first
compilation. Second chow.
Lawson, Doohan.
They fell for my trick,
Is that
the inside
lunge?
of Carlos Sainz. where's the lunge on Stroll? Because you're about
but I
4
locked
car
up.
lengths back and
I locked
absolutely
up.
smoked it in.
Yeah, because I mean, that hard tire, it gets cold at the end of. I almost crashed into him now. It gets really cold at the end of the stint, and after that, it's really hard to ask anything more from the front tires. I should have changed my brake balance a bit more for that overtake. And actually, my engineer said to me, "You should go rearwards in turn 14." I was like, "Thanks, thanks." I didn't know that.
No ciao, thank you.
Is that why you jumped off the hard tyre you started on so early? Because it looked like a relatively early stop, then you ran a really long stint on the medium. Were they just going cold?
They were getting cold, but honestly, I felt really strong on the medium. Maybe we just struggled a bit with top speed, and I couldn't overtake Stroll, and I felt like I was losing a lot of time behind him. At the time, I didn't know we were going onto a one-stop. I wasn't thinking that far ahead.
Must have been fun news.
Yeah, when they stuck a medium on, I was like, oh no, this is not good. But actually, the tires are much more resilient today. I would have liked to go a bit longer on that hard, but sometimes traffic, you have to get out of it and readjust.
Esteban, talk us through the lows and the highs of the team as well, because you've come from Melbourne, obviously really surprised at the lack of pace, and suddenly double points. This is why you signed to Haas.
Well, it's encouraging, of course. You know, everyone, really put their hearts out in these couple days, because as I said, we knew there was going to be more in the car, but it's really, weight off our shoulders now that we see we can fight, that we have, the performance when we optimize the car in the right way, and yeah, we should be pleased with the work that we've done, but also on the race team side, the strategy has been great today. It wasn't clear that, it was a one-stop race. It wasn't clear at all. And when I got to 30 laps to go, I was like, that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, it worked well.
Thank you both so much. We're going to let you go. There's a huge
Thank you.
crowd.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you get back to your hospitality, okay? Well done to Haas. Double points for them. And we're going to bring in Charles Leclerc. Charles, come on in wherever you like. Well done. I can sense some frustration, though, of course, through this race. Talk me through it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of frustration because honestly, I think it was very positive in one side because the pace was really, really good. On the other hand, it's a bit of a shame because we couldn't use the full potential of it. Obviously, we had a big damage on the front wing, which was very unfortunate that it happens with Lewis. I don't feel like any of the two have done anything wrong. I mean, I was on the inside to try and prepare turn 3. Lewis was around the outside. I thought he was staying there, but he had all the right to come back. But I did not expect him to come back, and then I was like, oh, and well, that's it. So yeah, a bit of a shame. That obviously cost us some lap time later on, but the pace was good.
Charles, how much did you have to change in the car to mitigate that? We heard some points of downforce loss across the front. Could you more or less fix it from the cockpit, or were you losing out through the whole race?
I mean, downforce, you can never really fix it. I mean, the balance front and rear, the balance wasn't too bad at the end, but there were still 30 points of downforce less, which is a lot of performance. So considering that, I felt like we had a really good race pace. So what we are lacking at the moment is the qualifying pace in order to qualify forward.
Let's talk team orders. Lewis had the call, he ignored it for a few laps. You were looking quicker for the first half of the race. You said on the radio it was a shame. How do you feel about that now, having done the race and obviously dropping Lewis away once you passed him?
I think it's very tricky for the team, and I also put myself in the shoes of Lewis. No, I mean, everybody knew I had a front wing damage, and I think the pace that we will see, you always put a question mark how much the DRS is doing. Will I have the same pace when I go in front with a broken front wing? That honestly, the damage was quite big. So I understand that there might be a bit more hesitation than in completely normal situation.
Charles, 2 races now, 2 very different tracks. Where do you think Ferrari sit? And how does it look looking ahead to Japan next?
We are not looking good. I mean, for now, we are way too far compared to McLaren, especially in qualifying. I think Lewis outperformed the car on Friday evening. I think in qualifying yesterday, that's where we stand. We are 3/10 of McLaren. Then in the race pace, we are pretty similar, but we cannot do any miracles when we are starting 3 or 4 positions behind. So we've got to improve that.
And how's the dynamic generally with Lewis? You put in a great move on him in Melbourne. You were racing with him again today. You've shared the 4th row and then the 3rd row. He's new to the team. How's it working with him?
Really well. Honestly, really, really well. We have a really good relationship, and it will stay that way. I'm sure we have. I obviously have a lot of respect for him with everything he has achieved, and I feel the same way. And I feel like it's the same, that he also has a lot of respect for me. So it's great. We are already quite close in pace. I mean, he's super strong, and he's get on to the team super quickly. So I'm sure we'll have many more fights, but we'll be fine.
We heard a little bit of maybe tension over the radio throughout the race. Were you frustrated at times with receiving the information a couple of times about various bits of the race?
You've been the master of the radio for 2 races now.
We love to talk, and if you go to Italy, people love to talk. So yeah, there was lots of talks, a bit too much to my liking, but it's the way it is. I mean, at one point, I think I actually said that to my engineer: just keep telling me the things that are not going well, until I get frustrated and tell you to stop telling me. So that's exactly what happened today.
And Charles, we heard on the radio you talking about the dragster, George Russell, and how quick Mercedes seemed to be on the straight.
Not on the straight. I mean, I didn't go as much into detail. I was driving at the same time. But what I meant by dragster was exit of turn 12.
Okay.
They have so much traction. And actually, I think we were probably a bit stronger everywhere else on the track. But just they were too strong out of turn 12, and it was impossible for me to overtake them to 14.
What do you need in the car to make the step that you're talking about towards McLaren? Is it just total efficiency, or is there something specific?
Listen, I think it's just trying to put everything in the right window for qualifying. Whenever you've got to do that one lap, it never really feels together. Either the balance is tricky at the beginning of the lap, or it's very tricky at the end of the lap, but it's never... it doesn't feel good for the whole lap, and that's what we need in qualifying. We are working towards that. In the race, for some reason, since a year and a half, we are doing things right, but in qualifying, there's still a lot of work to do.
Thanks very much, Charles. Thanks for your
Thank you.
time. Really appreciate you coming on. Go well in Japan. Okay, let's hear now from his boss, Fred Vasseur. He's with Tom Deacon.
Fred, what positives do you take away from this weekend?
The positive is the pole of Lewis, the win of Lewis yesterday, and I would say the pace of Charles during the race. With the front wing damage, the loss of downforce that we had, the pace was mega. And this is the positive of the weekend, that he struggled a bit on track at the end with the tires, because with the loss of the front wing, it was much more difficult to manage. But at the end, overall, we finished 20 seconds behind the McLaren. With this damage, I think it's a very, very good result and very strong result. A bit more difficult for Lewis on the management of the race, but we need to understand what's happened, because that yesterday he was over the moon, and much more difficult today.
Yeah. Do you think heading to Japan next that you can challenge McLaren on that pace?
Honestly, that we are all struggling to understand Saturday evening what will be the picture of Sunday. I think nobody can imagine what will be the result of Suzuka. But I think everything is open. It's exciting for us, for the fan, for everybody, because that from one session to the other, you can have a complete different picture.
All right. Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you.
Bit of work to do for Ferrari then. Great to hear that from Charles Leclerc and Fred Vasseur. Alicia Pomorski is joining me now, winner of race 1 here for F1 Academy. First race, first win. You've set that benchmark very high for yourself. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been an incredible weekend, to be honest. My first F1 Academy race weekend, so coming into it, I know that it was going to be a big learning curve. There's naturally lots for me to adapt to, get used to. Track evolution is a new big thing to me. Qualifying after Formula One, I've been out on track, lay the rubber down. The grip increase is absolutely huge, so it's been a big learning curve, but obviously to get that first race win, lots of points on the board in this early stage in the championship, that's what we needed to do, so far so good.
You have that connection through to Red Bull. How much engagement have you had with the team throughout this weekend, and what are the key bits of information they've been giving you?
Red Bull, the support network has been incredible, honestly, from every aspect, from driving, media, fitness, every aspect is covered. They are an incredible support. I think the F1 Academy paddock, all you have to do is walk up and down, there's an army of Red Bull people just surrounding us, supporting us in every aspect. So obviously racing with Campos Racing as well this year, so the support that they've given me as well has been incredible. So I've got loads of advice coming from every direction, so obviously I'm just trying to learn as quickly as possible and get on par with the second-year drivers as well.
Do you get a bit of engagement with Campos as well through into the feeder series to see what might be next on that road to F1?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's what's so great about racing on this package as well, is what I mentioned before about the track evolution. Only FIA F3, FIA F2 experiences that same thing other than F1. So racing on this same weekend on the global stage as Support Series to F1, obviously Campos, the data they have from the different drivers, the experience they have is incredible.
Next up for you, Jeddah.
Yes.
Pretty intense track. How are you feeling about that one?
Really looking forward to it, to be honest. I think it should naturally suit my driving style a little bit more. Obviously, very, very different circuit to what we've got here at Shanghai. Tyre management was very big here, obviously, with the front left degradation and the tyres. So I'm expecting Jeddah might not be quite as much. I don't know. We'll have different challenges there, but super excited to get started.
Brilliant stuff. You were P6 in that second race as well. It was a reverse grid, wasn't it, for P1? You talked about some of the things, for race one, sorry. You talked about some of those things that you are working on, tyre deg, track evo, grip, all of this in this brand new world for you. What do you think the biggest step is, the biggest change, the biggest mark of improvement you can make heading into Jeddah?
I think the biggest improvement would be the tyre management, like I mentioned, to be honest. I competed in the GB4 Championship in the UK last year, where I was just used to sort of 18-minute sprint races all the time, a lot colder temperatures as well than what we're experiencing here, so the degradation here is just a lot higher than anything I've experienced before, so it's just a case of judging it right, really. You obviously need an element of luck with safety cars as well, with tyre management, but I think that's the newest element to me that I just need to get my head around a bit quicker to get on par with those more experienced drivers.
Well, best of luck to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank
Pleasure
you so
to
much.
meet you as well. Well done this weekend. And let's hear from Aya Komatsu.
Aya, get your thoughts on that. It seemed to have turned it around from Australia.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing reaction from whole team. Australia was shocked to us. It's not something we are expecting based on Bahrain testing, but man, what a reaction. You know, everybody, people in Italy, UK, US, and the track side working together within the space of several days. And then, honestly, I'm so happy with the way we've been working since that shock to get the result here. I mean, it's not going to be like this at every circuit. I'm not kidding myself to say we solved the problem. We haven't. So certain circuit we go to, we're still going to have a big problem. But when we can operate the car in the way that we want, you know, thanks to the circuit characteristics, this is what we can do. We deliver today. It's amazing.
Yeah. Everyone seems happy. A mini celebration tonight then, maybe?
No, honestly, I think it means so much. You know, it's just, I'm so happy with everyone's reaction. You know, everyone has a failure, right? But failure shouldn't define you. What defines you is how you get up from that failure. And I think as a whole team, we showed that, you know, we are a proper race team. You know, so I'm so happy for everyone.
Well done on this weekend. Thanks very much, Aya.
Thank you very much.
Well done to Haas, expertly called from the pit wall, and indeed that was the crux of this race, really, wasn't it? The decision whether it was going to be a one-stop or a two-stop. George Russell claiming in the car it was a one-stop, but very openly. I'm not sure if he was bluffing. He said he wasn't, but
well, he got it right, didn't he? He called it right.
He called it right.
Pitted so early
he
for
did.
him.
I think we've got Zach Brown coming in. We're just going to pause that conversation on strategy. One team who did get it right were McLaren. Zach Brown, come on in. Congratulations. An excellent 1-2 for the team. Brilliant victory for Oscar Piastri. Your words on him first, because he secured first pole position and then just took the race by the scruff of the neck. Never let go.
He did. He was awesome all weekend. I told him on Saturday I thought he'd get pole, and then I told him this morning I think you're going to win the race. So he said, yeah, I'm going to start listening to you more often. He was mega all weekend. Lando did an outstanding job. Difficult weekend for us, right? The sprint wasn't easy. This wasn't easy. We had a brake issue on Lando's car that went from manageable to critical at the end. So pretty stressful on pit wall because it was pretty close.
Talk us through that brake issue. Was there ever a chance that you might have had to pull Lando in?
I would say if we had another couple laps, because it went from this is going to be manageable to critical with 2 laps to go. And, you know, I think you guys know from driving, if you don't have confidence in your brakes, or he was asking, do you think the thing's going to go to the floor? And we were like, maybe. But the team did a great job and managed through it. So on to Japan.
Strategy-wise, ended up being fairly simple in the end, but it didn't look like it was going to be that way at the start. How much does that keep you on your toes? And obviously with a look back to last year in Monza, where these sort of races slipped away from you, things look better after 2 races.
Yeah, team did a great job on pit wall. It was stressful. It was it helped to see one of the Astons that was out there and did a long run, so that gave us some confidence. And then when Lewis went for his second stop, we were able to look and see that wasn't going to close the gap. So at that point, we thought as long as the tires would last, we'd be okay.
Back in the sprint race, you had a real issue with Lando with that left front. How much did you have to react with the car to generate the performance we just saw before?
Yeah, combination of setup and also Lando having a look at Oscar's data. I think that's the benefit of having two #1 drivers. They can learn from each other, and so I think just approaching the way he kind of manages the front tires also made a difference.
Is there any part of you at the end that with Lando having the brake pressure, the brake pedal issue, you tell him he can't go and race Oscar, and it sort of settles the whole team? Because otherwise, they were going to push each other right to the end again like Melbourne. Was that kind of a relief that he had to nurse it?
I said to Andrea, I was like, well, it's not the worst thing in the world as long as he comes home in second. Of course, we want them to race. They were free to race. Lando was very quick. Catching someone around here is one thing, passing him is another. So I think Oscar responded every time. So I think it would have maybe been closer, but I think Oscar, this was his weekend. He earned it from the turn one, and great start for both guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it
that
really
was going to be my question, was on team orders, and were you glad you didn't have to necessarily dole them out? But looking ahead, you do have 2 drivers now with 1 winner, PSAC. You've got a wonderful problem. You've got an absolute nightmare on your hands, but a wonderful one to have.
They had team orders. It was go race each other. I think we're going to see more of that this year, but they have so much respect for each other. They know they're racing for the team, and I'm sure we're going to see some epic Oscar-Lando battles over the course of the year. I'm sure it'll be quite stressful, but hey, we're in Grand Prix racing.
Looking into the rest of the season, do you think you can keep this form on? Is the race between them for the championship? Or?
I think that was so close, and you saw Lewis drove brilliantly. So you don't get into the lead in turn 1, that race can go differently. So to me, it looks extremely close. Obviously, we're going to work hard to keep it going, but that was a very close race.
How wary are you of George Russell, at least from Mercedes, because he's been right up there with you guys for the last 2 races?
Mercedes has done a great job. I think their car is right there with us. Ferrari's really good on their tire wear, especially around here, and Max was coming on strong again there towards the end. So I think it'll be track specific. Of course, we're all developing the cars, and when you're all within a tenth, it's not going to take much for someone to go from 4th quickest to 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So I think we're going to see a mix-up over the course of the year.
If you had to call it right now, 2 races into 24, who do you see as your biggest threat still? Because Max is there picking up the points as well.
I think Ferrari over the course of the season would be my guess, but I wouldn't want to have to make that prediction. We're taking them all very seriously because, as you said, George has done a fantastic job. I think Kimi's only going to get stronger. I think from a constructor's standpoint, the Ferrari is probably the biggest challenge because of their driver lineup. With Kimi being a rookie, it's inevitable that he'll have some mega weekends, but he'll have a weekend or 2 where he's still learning. Red Bull obviously has their challenges with the driver situation there. So I think from a constructor's, you can kind of count on Lewis and Charles being there every single weekend.
And then from a driver's, in terms of...
I think for a driver's, it's got to be Max, George, Lewis, Charles, Oscar, Lando.
Well played, Zach.
and I think you're going to see Kimi Antonelli win a race this year. So I think you're going to see 7+ winners.
Big party tonight. 2 races, 2 wins. You can let your hair down now at the end of a double
I'm getting on a plane and going home. We've been on the road for a while.
Well, thank you very much, Zach. We'll let you get your flight.
Thank you.
Well done.
Cheers.
See you in Japan. Thanks so much. Okay, let's talk strategy then, because look, McLaren got it right, and everybody saw from Stroll really on that hard tyre how long he was able to last. That it was doing well. Those guys who pitted early onto that hard sort of showed the rest what was possible.
McLaren did get it right, along with others, but I think McLaren got it right and had the speed. There are several drivers through the field who I think got it. Potentially had actually a better strategy, like without the pace. Gasly, for example, in an Alpine, finds himself sort of at the back end of the top 10, ditched the medium tyre early and got straight onto the hard, which looked like the dominant tyre. And I think actually there were better strategies available. There were 2 sets of hards available for the weekend. All the teams kept them for the race and chose to have no data about them rather than lose a set because they thought it was going to be a 2-stop. So I suspect they'll crunch the numbers after this and go, actually, there was a better strategy in there for almost everyone.
But they were just punting it, weren't they? There's no way when Gasly pitted in the first 10 laps that they thought that was going to be it. They hadn't run the hard tyres. They were locking themselves into a 2-stopper.
The Alpine pit wall are going to be so offended.
Well, they can come and explain it to me then, because I just don't believe it. They were locking in for an aggressive 2-stop. But then everyone, as Zach was saying, was just looking at Lance Stroll. And I was looking at Lance Stroll with disbelief at how we're talking about degradation or it's going to be a real nursing the tyres day. And the medium was at the start, and then the hard just went forever, as Gasly ended up showing. So Stroll was really just the guinea pig for everyone else, just to look and say, I don't want to take a second stop.
It cooled off as well. What effect would that have had?
Yeah, it tends to bring you into the softer compound range, and if you're going to run the medium later, it's better. But I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, run that race again with a set of compounds harder. I think actually it's a totally different Grand Prix. When you look, for example, at the way Verstappen took off on the hard tyre after he pitted onto it, and the kind of pace that he had, I think if you shifted the compounds one, you might actually have had a closer race at the front, because McLaren were really kind of the only one of those top teams that could actually make that medium work at the beginning.
Yeah, great stuff. Look, a team who will be absolutely kicking themselves. They went for the two-stop. It clearly wasn't the strategy for today. It's VCARB. Let's hear from Yuki Tsunoda.
Hey, Yuki. I feel for you because you had a great start to the race and then out of your control. I guess the decision to do a two-stopper pulled you out a little bit, and then obviously that front wing damage. Just talk me through how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, very disappointed. Good start once again, and I mean, you know, the strategy is the things that probably we have to improve. But at the same time, you know, I understand, you know, what the thoughts behind, and I can understand. But yeah, the front wing is definitely a bit, yeah, to be honest, frustrated. You know, like it shouldn't happen like that. You know, they never touch obviously car in front, and I don't know, yeah, just some parts fall apart in or just naturally. So I mean, at least it's a good learning for the future. That try to avoid this situation. But yeah, I was expecting much more. Yeah.
Up until that point, that first phase, you undercut really well. You got ahead of Antonelli. You were asked to push the car more. Did it feel like you had a car to really attack up until that point?
Yeah, I mean, the pace was okay. You know, probably we didn't have pace as much as sprint qualifying race, so we have to analyze that. But I'm sure we didn't also maximize the strategy as well. So, you know, it's mixed things was going on. But I guess main learning is, yeah, what we can prevent those, you know, situation and how we can make more accurate strategy for the future, you know, and also same time, I think the pace wasn't that great today, so also we have to look through it as well.
Does it hurt especially because Haas obviously scored well and you're in this tight fight, and it's 2 races now where you should have scored big, shouldn't you, really, if everything had gone well?
Yeah, I think just we have to refocus, you know, like we know that we have good pace from the car, but I think just probably we were a little bit too reliant on that, and maybe we missed something that's really important before this race. We have to review that, but you know, Haas did a really good job, to be honest. They were struggling a lot until these races, and suddenly they improved the pace from this race on. So you know, big credit to them, you know. But at the same time, yeah, I think also I know it's a bit frustrating that we know that we can do better, and we have tools and the people that we have much better people than them, and you know, much better car than them. So yeah, missing 2 races in a row like these big points is something we have to definitely think about.
Oh, VCARB, the one that got away, this will be, because they were in such a promising position early doors. But of course, Isaac Hadjar and Yuki Tsunoda both pitting twice. Tsunoda pitting 3 times, of course, for that front wing failure that we saw as well, alongside Lawson, Bortoletto, and then Lewis Hamilton also 2-stopping and ultimately ending up P6, unable to really make up the distance to Verstappen and Leclerc ahead of him on that hard tyre. But for VCARB, this will be gutting, won't it? And for, you know, a rookie like Hadjar, who started P7, it could have been something so different.
Every other team is adjusting on the fly and taking the strategy that they thought they'd be running, looking at Stroll doing the hard tyre run and go, Well, that looks like it's lasting a long time. We're going to have to adjust this here. RB just chuck them out for a 2-stop and just keep on running the strategy they already ran. That is a new front wing for Sonoda for this weekend, but it's only a gurney flap option that would have changed. So that's a part failure they need to look into. They had another part failure at the beginning of the weekend, but the beneficial, the saving grace is they've had pace all weekend. It's only in the race where they've dropped the ball.
Yeah, they've butchered a load of points again, haven't they?
Yeah.
Strategy calls are just not going their way. They really need to look at this, because they dropped away in the Constructors last year, got done by Haas and Alpine when they had a better car for so much of the season, and 2 races, 2 dud strategy calls. Yuki's front wing failed, but I don't think he was getting points anyway. And they've had probably maybe even the 4th best car. Maybe it's even better than the Red Bull. There's that debate, but it's certainly better than the rest of the midfield. Hadjar's driving really well. Yuki's on fire. 0 points.
For the rookies then, Bortoletto with a spin at one point, doing with contact, 10-second penalty, pretty eventful out there. Lots of learnings, of course. First dry Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's a shame for Bortoletto. Spun really early in the Grand Prix. Hulkenberg, I think, carried damage through from the first lap. I was expecting a little bit more from Sauber. It was a great qualifying performance by Hulkenberg. Bortoletto's looked on it all year so far, but they sort of returned to type, didn't they?
I love it you say all year so far. We've had one Grand Prix where he crashed in a sprint. But
all year so far.
It's a long season,
he's been quick, though, hasn't he? He's been quick in qualifying. Hulkenberg, he's been out qualifying Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg did a decent qualifying performance this time around. Yeah, but they've returned to type and they've sunk back to the base of the order this weekend.
The rookies they're all still chasing it, I think. Yeah. Hadjar's been really impressive, though. I do think he's the most impressive of the 5 of them. He's been top rookie on the grid twice. He's obviously got a very good car. But yeah, even Antonelli getting some more points driver of the day, but he's a long way off George still. So these are difficult first races. Obviously Melbourne was a joke how hard that was for a rookie to jump in. Sprint weekend on a new circuit for all of them, not easy. Japan's not easy either. So I think Bahrain race 4 is when I would expect to see something from the rookies.
You could see the learning going on today for Antonelli, just that step away under race conditions. He kind of sat there at the back end of the top 10, couldn't really move forward. And just the difference when they're all taking on what is their first dry race, really, was kind of marked more. Antonelli kind of found his way through the pack in Melbourne because it was such a mixed-up race. That's the reality of the scenario, isn't it, that we just saw?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. The Mercedes drivers are going to be chasing McLaren in those team standings. Tom Deacon is with Toto Wolff.
Yeah. Toto, summarise the weekend, please.
Very solid. I think from the driving standpoint of George, the 10 out of 10 he's extracted everything that was there. Happy for another podium, happy for the being second in the championship, and Kimi another learning weekend. He picked up some floor damage at the beginning, and that cost him many tenths and a better position, but he fought through. He didn't complain. His time will come.
Fans driver of the day, what is it that stood out for you and why he was the fans driver of the day?
I don't know. He was also surprised. I think it must be the looks and must be his fan group of the 16 to 18-year-olds.
Thank you very much, Toto.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd seen that Kimi was driver of the day, running down here to get ready for the show. But the fans want what the fans want, and Kimi Antonelli was your driver of the day. But look, once again, top rookie, he's up there, he's getting the job done. But it was I don't think I saw him much at all. That overtake from Ocon.
I think that's mostly for the vibes, to be honest, from Kimi. He brings such great vibes.
He does.
To every time we have him on. But yeah, he's learning all the time. It was an interesting one for Mercedes. They didn't quite have the pace from McLaren. Could they have posted Russell in between the two at the start of the race if he'd managed to get up the inside of Norris? Maybe. Would it have made that much of a difference? Probably not.
Russell's been class, though. The first 2 weekends, he's led the team so well. 2 podiums. Don't know if the car certainly can't do any more than that, really, on pace. So I think he's executing as well as he could. Obviously, he was desperate to take the lead, and that's what opened the door for Lando at the start. But really, really impressive first 2 weekends for George.
He had to be impressive as well, didn't he? He's de facto leader of that team now. And with all the rumours swirling, mostly fueled by Zach Brown, actually saying Max Verstappen will be at Mercedes next year, George has got to assert himself as the leader. He is doing just that. He was, though, finishing behind today Oscar Piastri. Let's hear it from your race winner.
Oscar, congratulations. You dominated from the front. You must be delighted with the performance today.
Yeah, very, very happy. You know, obviously exactly the kind of result we wanted, not just for myself, but for the whole team. So, yeah, pretty pumped. I think that was probably maybe the least emotional win, but the most satisfying, for sure. So, no, very, very proud of the whole team. I think we had a lot of things we had to try and tackle this weekend with the car, and we did a really good job of trying to do that for today. And yeah, I feel like I did a good job as well. So very, very pleased.
And on a personal level, after Australia and how it didn't go so well, was it just particularly important for you to come back and hit it strongly with this result?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of what the result was going to be, I wanted to come back and just prove to myself that, you know, I can keep going, keep fighting. And I think I definitely proved that this weekend, and the result, I have the result to show for it this time, which is great. So, no, just very, very pleased with, you know, how the whole first 2 weekends have gone. You know, obviously this weekend I'm leaving a bit happier, but yeah, I'm excited for the races to come. I feel like it's been really good so far on a lot of fronts, so I'm excited.
Great stuff. Congrats. See you at the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're very excited as well, Oscar Piastri, and I'm sure this battle between Oscar Piastri and his teammate Lando Norris is going to carry on and on and on, if indeed McLaren's advantage will continue. Ferrari, Mercedes will be chasing them down, and astonishing actually that I'm not saying Red Bull in that sentence, but they were off the pace today. A man who was on the pace, though, joins us now, Alex Jakes. How did you enjoy that one?
I enjoy this. I get parachuted in at the end, and then you assess my commentary. Always enjoy this bit. I enjoyed the start of that race. There was a lot going on. From the moment that it turned into a one-stop, then obviously the order got locked in. Oscar Piastri was incredibly frustrated with that team radio message. Probably more frustrated than we knew at the start of this week. You can complain to the team, or you can come back and win the Grand Prix. He's taken a maiden Grand Prix pole. He's shown them he's a contender for this title. They're going to have a bit of a headache, happy headache to have at McLaren, but that was a fighting and hugely significant result in the context of this year's World Championship.
And you can watch the YouTube highlights with commentary from Alex Jakes and Jolyon. Right now, do go over and take a look back at this Chinese Grand Prix. A strategic one, but like you say, one that ultimately was locked in as the one stop became apparent, mostly thanks to those who started on the hard tyre and showed what was possible.
Yeah, Lance Stroll shut this one down, didn't he? That was the end of that. Poor guy did a great job, and then everyone was like, okay, that's the end of that.
The irony is he did all the legwork for everyone else, and then Aston Martin actually didn't execute their own strategy as well as they might have done, so he didn't even get any points, having done all the research for everyone.
Yeah, P12, and then Alonso, other side of the garage, 2 DNFs now for the veteran Spaniard on the grid, and a brake issue for him as well. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, pedal went to the floor, we're hearing from Aston Martin for Fernando Alonso, so scary stuff. Really early in the race, we had a report from a driver, was it I can't remember who it was following him.
Gasly.
They say it was Gasly following him, that there was a brake fire, so I'm suspecting a blocked duct, but we'll have to wait to see what the team say.
Great stuff. Let's take a look at the schedule then for Japan, where we are headed next, round 3 of the Formula 1 2025 season. You can also join the cool-down room this week as well to look back on all things China and look ahead to Japan. I'll be on that one alongside Tom Deacon, who you've heard this week. Okay, FP1 then 11:15, building up to that one. FP2 at 2:45. FP3, our pre-show at 11:15 before. Pre-quali 2:30, qualifying 3 p.m, post-qualifying show straight after as ever. And then just like here, 1 p.m. pre-race show start and the Grand Prix start of 2 p.m. So actually not like here, that's an hour earlier. That's an hour earlier. Okay, let's move it along swiftly to your thoughts ahead of Japan. Why do I fall apart at the end of a show?
I love a schedule.
Hold it all together professionally.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
The schedule floors me. I don't know. Can't read apparently. Go on, Jakesy, your thoughts ahead of Japan.
What a circuit. Always a pleasure to go. Expect McLaren still to be quick. And that's about it.
One of F1's great venues, isn't it? Suzuka, all about the high-speed stuff. I think potentially a shake up the order behind McLaren, who are going to be super strong there with all the efficiency that they have.
Return of the Max, I reckon. Love Suzuka, always super quick, high-speed corners still working. Very subdued this weekend generally, but I reckon we'll see Verstappen back at the sharp end.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, guys. Looking forward to seeing you all again on all of the coverage of Formula One. Thanks for all of your inputs. Thanks to Lawrence as well. Thanks to Tom Deacon roaming around, all the crew behind camera here and in Biggin Hill as well. Of course, the paddock here, very much enjoying our sprint weekend. Another one coming in Miami. You can win tickets for that one on F1 Unlocked. Head to f1.com for that. The paddock here this weekend, of course, also thinking of Eddie Jordan, who will forever remain in our thoughts.